Right, welcome everyone. Today we're going to go over 5 ways to generate real estate clients. And there's a couple of bonuses in there too. The last time I taught this class, we just kept going and going, and I think it turned into like 8 or 10 different ways, just because when you start talking, it's like, well, you can also do this and you can also do this. So I don't know how many it's actually going to be, but I have 5 written down. So when you're brand new to real estate, or simply ready just to grow your business, everybody asks, where do I get clients? That's the first thing. Where am I going to find my clients? So there's a lot of different ways that you can do it. And you've got your general, you can host your open houses. And why that works is because you're not really trying to sell that one house. You're trying to gather the neighbors and hope that they like what you do and want you to list their home. You're hoping to also get unrepresented buyers that come in. But what you're doing is you're door knocking, and we already had an open house class, but I wanted to kind of go into this just a little bit on how do you actually hold the open house to generate those leads. Because if you just open the house and then sit there and just cross your fingers and hope people show up, that's not going to generate anything for you. That's just kind of wasting some time and hoping for the best, right? But if you knock on at least 20 doors, and what I like to do is, if you can't do the whole neighborhood, because some of these neighborhoods are huge, you're going to have the house that you're on that street, and you're going to, at the bare minimum, do the street, in front of it and the street behind it, and then just start growing however far, that you can. If you're not knocking and just leaving something, then bring a child with you or something, and then you split the neighborhood up. But if you're actually going to knock on the door and maybe talk to the Ring camera or maybe address something, then, schedule out some time to do that, because that's when it's super beneficial. And you're inviting them to come to your open house. You're not just trying to sell the home. Just say, hey, if nothing else, come see what your neighbor's house looks like. I'm going to have some snacks and all this stuff, whatever you're going to do, but you're just trying to draw them there, because again, it might not be that one person that you're talking to, the neighbor. They might have a sister or a brother that wants to move there, or their best friend, or whatever it may be. So you never know who they know, right? Invite the neighbors to come out. I always say an hour before, so you get the neighbors in and out of there, and then hold your open house. So neighbors from 10 to 11, and then the open house from 11 to 2 or something like that. So you can actually have time to speak to the neighbors one-on-one. If you can, I would ask them their names. I would ask them, what street do you live on? So if you can get their name in the street, you don't have to get the exact house. Which street are you on? Then make a mental note. Once they leave, write that down, and then send them a thank you card. Look them up on the tax record. Thanks so much for stopping in. You're trying to generate those people and turn them into clients, right? Set up a single sign-in or QR code to use on the tablet. So we have Spacio. So if you just download it there, you can put a picture of the house, and it'll ask you, name, phone number, email. Are you working with an agent? Are you a neighbor? What street do you live on? You can make all of the questions that you want. And I try to leave it as very limited, small questions, because if you're having them fill out this whole storybook, they're not going to do it. They just want to come in. I just want to see the house. Okay, great, but I have to have you sign in. If you don't mind just answering these 4 questions, that's all they need. And if they put, are you working with a realtor? Yes. What's the realtor's name? So, because if they aren't really working with a realtor, they're not going to come up with a realtor at the drop of a hat. They might just quickly Google somebody, whatever. It doesn't matter, but you just want to know, because if they put no, they're fair game. Even if they put yes, they can cancel that buyer-broker agreement at any time if they really like you guys. So really think about that and just say, okay, great. You know what? I don't know that realtor. I hope they're doing really, well for you. I am going to send you a follow-up just so you know. It's not to solicit to you. It's just to, ask for more, feedback on the house, because my seller wants to know, whatever it may be, right? And then you're going to follow up. Once you do your open house, you're going to follow up within 24 hours with thank you cards, thank you emails. Can I get, your idea on what the house is? How's the pricing? Feedback for my seller. And then for that, buyers, unrepresented buyers who might want to find a realtor. This is your brand. This is your marketing. So be 100% with your setup, your snacks, your flyers, the info. It's super important to really hone into the way you want it to look, because if you're very thorough during the listing, and then when they come in, here's a buyer guide here, because you're trying to get those buyers. If you arm them with all the information, especially if they're first-time home buyers, oh my goodness, they don't know where to go to get the information. And if they do, they're Googling it. Is it local? Is it for Chicago? Like, where, they don't know. But if they're getting it from you and you're able to give them that information, they're just going to stick with, oh, I like that lady at the open house. I like that guy. He did this, whatever it may be. So hone your craft. Anything you're going to do in real estate, put 100% into it. Because there are some realtors that just sit there. And then they're like, oh yeah, I have a listing. They don't market it. They don't do it. And I'm like, I feel so bad for those sellers because they don't know anything different. They're like, I hired a realtor. Okay, but they're not doing anything for you. So it's really, this why we have such a bad rap is because there's more realtors that do a bad job than do a good job. So if you just start out doing a good job, it might be slow to the go, but you're going to create long-term clients that way. The ones that don't put any effort into it, they're one and done. And then they've got to spend the rest of their career finding another one. You want to really build your sphere. So they use you repeatedly, they refer you to other people, and you don't have to work so hard getting those clients, right? Be nosy. Ask them their time frame, their budget. If this is the area, if they currently own a home, do you rent? When's your lease up? Because what people don't think about is, oh, I just rent. Well, you can't just break that lease because you want to buy a home. I mean, some sellers do. They're like, hey, if you ever buy a home, I'll let you get out of it with a 30 or 60 day. But if you're just breaking the lease to go to another rental, I'm not going to let you out of it, right? And if they just think, oh, well, I'm in a year lease and I'll just break it when I want, like if they're in an apartment or something. Well, the apartment complexes are not going to let them out. So they're going to end up with a double payment. And they don't think about that. Say, okay, when are you leaving? May? All right, so you have to give notice in April. Okay, great. So that means we have to start looking like March to April to get you a 30-day notice. Can you go month to month from there? And if you do, I need you to ask if that's going to raise your rent, because usually they're like, hey, we're set here, but if you go month to month, we're adding $500 a month to it. But it's only a couple of months. We need to know the time frame. Right now, there's a lot of homes on the market, so they'll be able to probably find a home relatively quickly, unless they're taking $50,000 off and asking for $10,000 and closing. Like, good luck trying to get that. People are not giving their homes away. They're negotiating and working with everybody, but they're not dropping them. And we still have a lot of agents. I see the paperwork come across my desk and I'm like, why would you even write an offer like that? I'm like, because every penny you ask the seller for is a penny that does not go into their pocket. So if they've got it listed here, you've taken $50,000 off, you've asked for $20,000 in closing costs, you've asked for a home warranty, you've asked for this, you've asked for that, like, oh, throw in all your furniture, again, it's just dollar signs. They're like less and less and less and less and less. So really learn to construct an offer. If they're needing closing costs, you want to try to get as close to their list price as possible. But again, before you write an offer, do the comps, because some agents don't know how to price properties. They're already $100,000 over. So you don't want to give them $100,000 over, because then when the appraisal comes in and it doesn't come in at value, they have to drop the price, and then they don't want to give you the closing costs, and so there's a whole bunch of stuff. So really hone in your craft. Before you write an offer, you're going to do your comps. Before you go on to list the house and hit the market, you need to do your comps. Like, see what's going on. Be realistic. And if those sellers they like, no, I want an unrealistic price, and then you reconsider taking that listing. And I know a lot of people are like, just take the listing. But you know what? It's going to cost you $400 to $600 to even hit the market. Then once you hit the market, you've got to have some kind of a marketing plan. And all this money is coming out of your pocket. And if you don't sell the home, you just wasted all that money. So you're not in the market to just throw it out there and then not get anything back, right? So I've done it before. I'm like, you know what? I know that I can't sell your house for this. I don't know who gave you that pricing, but that is not what's happening. And even if we list it for that and somebody gives us an offer, if they need an appraisal, that appraisal is not going to come in. And then you have to lower the price. And if they need closing costs, you're going to go even lower. So, and I always like to use the example. Hey, the homes in your neighborhood are selling for $500. If we list it for $520, nobody is seeing it. The most expensive one sold for $500. So you listed $520, nobody's seeing it. They don't even know you exist, because everything in there is $500 and under. Every agent sets their mark for $500 and under for that neighborhood. They're never going to see you. So now you're sitting there with nobody even seeing you. And if they drive around and they pull up they're like, oh, here's a sign. Oh, $520, never mind. And then they just drive away anyways. You have to do what's going on in the neighborhood. So we want to be, as close to spot on as we can. But we're all just still guessing with our numbers, with the listing and all of that stuff. But little off topic there, but I just wanted to, kind of get there. So be nosy, ask them to time frame their budget. Oh, and then when a double payment, we always want to try to avoid a double payment, but sometimes we can't. But so when a buyer buys a home and it closes in March, whether that's March 2nd or March 30th, they get that month free and then the next month free. So they'll get March free, April free, and then their first payment is May 1st. So if you're getting really close to the last couple of days, try to put your close of escrow in the next month, right? Now it will change their payment a little bit, or their closing costs a little bit, because they have to allot for what they're bringing in, because now you got a whole nother month of prorations. But their payment, if it's a $2,400 payment or a $3,000 payment, that little bit of adjustment would be more beneficial. But if they know that they're going to have a double payment, you have to tell them, hey, just so you know, you're going to get March and April free, but your first payment is going to be May. And they're like, oh my gosh, I'm stuck here until June. Okay, you're going to have a double payment for May and June or something, So let them know that ahead of time, right? Okay, but anyways, okay. No, because then the beginning of the month. So you get that whole month, and then, yes. The beginning to middle. You do. You have a prorations of all of that. That's what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. So, but if you close on the 30th, March 30th, you'll get March free, which is one day. Yeah. And then you get April free, but then your first payment's May. But if you just kind of push it over to April, now you get April, May, and your first payment's June. But again, when you do that, now you have prorations for April. So you have to, that's why you work with your lenders. Hey, which is a better way to do that? And sometimes the lenders are like, nope, keep them in March. Just keep them in March. It's better to do that. And, they just have to understand where their payment, when it's due. So it's always a month they close and then another month free. It's really not free, guys. It just is tacked on to the end. So, but the buyers think it's free. Oh, I don't have to pay for 2 months. Okay, but it's back there. So, anyways, and then once they come in and they log in or they sign in or whatever, you're going to put them into your CRM so you can keep in contact with them. And I always like to ask them when they're leaving, hey, you did sign in. Did you want me to let you know every time I do an open house? Do you like this area? I do them all around town, but do you have a specific area that you like? I can keep you posted when I do the open houses. And then they're like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll come down. So if you have really good snacks and information, they're like, yeah, I want to know. You got the music going, and not like crazy music, but something that's super nice, and it's just a nice environment when they walk in, a nice smell, whatever it may be. I found this company, I forget the name of it, but instead of doing those plugins, it's like a little system, kind of like a diffuser, but not, and it just gives these little puffs. And they have, they do all of the scents for the hotels and stuff. So if you get something like that right when they walk in and it puffs and it's like at the entrance, they're like, oh, this smells so great. It's all senses you're trying to hit. Because some agents are like, I'm going to go bake cookies. Okay, great. If you burn them, you've now got a burnt smell in their whole house. If something bubbles over, now you're cleaning an oven. It's just a lot. If you forget to turn it off, you can burn their house down. It's a lot of liability, right? So I try to do as little as possible. I just get something that put it by the door so I won't miss it when I'm walking out. I'm like, oh, I got to grab my air thing. But you want to hit all senses. It's got to be really good to the eye visually, and the scent and the smell. The smell and the taste. You can bring in all your snacks. We had one gentleman that did an open house for a $2.7 million home, and he got those bundt cakes. Now they're $5 a cake, but you can get the little buntlets. Those are cute. You get a whole box of them, right? Something like that, and he had little orange juice and champagne glasses. And I'm not big on giving champagne or alcohol because I don't want to be responsible. If you're pouring it and you're the only one pouring it, great, and you know who's had what, but it's fine. But you're going to do something your own. Now, if you're doing a broker open, which is an open house for agents, then that's totally different, because that's a little bit more of a party feel, and you can serve alcohol in that. But for the everyday, I don't want to go upstairs and find out some kid just jugged a whole bottle of champagne or something. You just don't want to be responsible for that kind of stuff. But make the whole environment something that's very pleasing. And then as they walk out, as they walk through, what do you like? What do you not like? Can I send you similar properties? Things like that. You're going to talk to them and try to build a rapport. And then partner with local businesses to maybe add free coupons. If hey, I'm going to be doing an open house right down the street. Do you have a 10% off coupon? And after they leave, I can send them down to your establishment to get a donut or something like that. They love that. So, it's a little bit of work, but if you're focusing on Centennial Hills or just Summerlin or whatever, know your areas and then go into a quick, if you're preparing in advance your open house, 5 days prior, you're going to know what's around you. Go into another little local business, a donut shop, and say, hey, I'm going to be doing an open house. And as people leave, do you have a coupon just for that day for a free donut? And I can send them down your way as well. And then now they're like, oh, I love going to her stuff. She gets all these coupons and things and get little chapsticks made or whatever it is that you're going to go. People love to just collect that stuff. They love the free stuff, right? And they may never even go to that donut shop, but if the coupon's only good for one day, then hey, that all works. But all right, so then for the door knocking, your script. You knock on the door. It's like, hi, I'm Wendy Schaller with Realty One Group. I'll be hosting an open house down in your neighborhood tomorrow at 123 Main Street. I just wanted to invite you. I'm doing a special open house hour just for the neighbors from 10 to 11. We've got special treats and things. So if you'd like to come by, I'd love to have you there. Come see. If nothing else, come see what your neighbor's house looks like. Or maybe if you know somebody that is looking to live in your neighborhood, I'd love to have you come and stop by. Something simple like that. You don't have, you can write it out, but it's always best if you knock on the door, talk to the Ring camera, whatever you're going to do there. Don't be afraid to leave a message on the Ring doorbell, and just have good energy, because some people do get mad that you're doing open houses in their neighborhood and they think you're soliciting, and you're like, no, I'm just inviting you there. It's going to be like a party. Not really, but you're trying to diffuse the situation because they're like, there's no soliciting on my gate. That's great. I'm just inviting you to an event that I'm having. I'm not soliciting. There's nothing you need to buy. Unless you want a house. So, all right. So then another way you can generate clients is mail to your sphere by introducing yourself in your new career. So I think you were talking about doing that. So your sphere of people that already know you, and you were going to write something in there like, the subject is, and you can do it in an email as well. I'm a realtor now. Let's work together. I followed my passion and I'm now a licensed realtor. Sample letter would be like, hi, Susie. I'm excited to share that I've joined Realty One Group as a licensed realtor. I'm helping my friends and family and new clients buy and sell homes throughout the Las Vegas and Henderson areas. Whether you or someone you know is thinking about moving soon or in the future, I'd love to be the resource. Even if that's just to ask questions about the market, I'm here to help you. And then put all your contact information. Put your business card in there if you're doing paper ones. If you're doing email, just make sure you have your email signature with your picture. You just got to get them used to seeing your face. Because like I said, there's some people in here that market to me, not knowing I'm a realtor, or maybe they're just wanting a referral partner with a realtor. I know them by face, but I can't ever remember their name. And I have a story about that right at the end. But why this works: your sphere knows you, likes you, and trusts you, but they don't think of you for real estate unless you tell them. We have a lot of secret agents, and it's not because they're trying to be secret. They're just like, oh, well, everybody should know. But how do they know? Like, you might have made a post on Facebook, but guess what? There's people like me that don't go to Facebook daily. So when I get on there, I look for like 5 minutes and then I'm done. Like, I didn't scroll 2-3 days back. So I missed your post. So you might want to have them like your business page. And then they're like, oh, she's a realtor. Send them something. If you know them, do those little pop buys. Start small and then build. Because everyone's like, I need a farm of 250 people. Okay, but you don't even know those people. So why would they use you over somebody else? So if you start with the people you know, and then you send them letters, you touch them on their social media, you stop by their house and bring them a pop by. You do an event like, I'm gathering coats for winter coats for, the kids in school, like the homeless teens or something like that. Leave them out. You can leave them out on your porch, but I'd really love to give you something, if you're there, and bring a little food thing, because that way they're going to go, well, I'll just leave it. You can leave it on. Oh, well, you know what? It's not something I want to leave out. And then they're like, oh, what is it? And it's like a little Danish or whatever pastry that you're going to do. And you're like, I don't really want to leave it, bugs and stuff, And you're just trying to get face-to-face so they see you. And then I want to give you my card. You can do yearly calendars. You can do sports calendar when the Golden Knights are playing. You can do all of this stuff. Just hand them something little in return, right? Thank you so much for supporting this. You don't really have I guess you could give them a receipt, but we're not a nonprofit, so like there's no receipt. We're just dropping things off. You're collecting stuff. But let everyone know that if you are new, let them know that you've got a qualified team behind you. Because a lot of agents are afraid to say anything because they're like, why are they going to use me? I'm just brand new. But you have brokers, sales managers, you have lenders, you have title and marketing reps, you have home warranty people, great home inspectors. So you can make a whole sheet of your people. And you can give them their name, like, Win Home Inspection and Rock Title and Epic Mortgage, and you don't have to give them per se the full name, but just say I have a great group of people on my team. And it kind of helps solidify that you're not just a one-man band. Even though we're all independent agents, we do have people behind us that we all lean on, right? Leverage your sphere of influence tactic, a 5-day rule. Contact 5 people in your sphere daily. Phone, pop by, face-to-face. And then how to maintain consistent non-pushy contact is newsletters, birthday messages, local updates and holidays. So if you know somebody and they're close to you in your sphere, you can send them a thing. Hey guys, I'm just building my database and I've got you in here with your name and your email, or I've got your phone number. Can I get your email and birth date? I love to, keep in touch with everybody. If they have kids, get their kids' names, their kids' birth dates. Like if they have pets, you can send out a questionnaire to all your people. Hey guys, I'm filling my database up, and all my favorite people, I just want to get some, personal information about, because I like to keep in touch with you and you send you things throughout the year. Oh, she's going to send us stuff. You better follow through on that. But even if it's a birthday card, she sent us something. But again, any way that you can contact them. And a lot of people are like, why do I need to know their kids? Because people love that you ask about their kids, right? So it's like, oh, tell Sally happy birthday, And it's more than just going on Facebook and say happy birthday. Send the mom or the dad a personal text. I know it's her birthday. Or if you can do a $5 Starbucks card or something like that, she can get a cake pop. Because it's so darn expensive for a stinking cake pop, unless you want to go drop one off at their house for their daughter or their son or whatever it is. I mean, it's a lot of extra work, but those people will not forget you by doing those little things, right? All right, number 3, market your own neighborhood using a farm list from Rock Title. You're going to get with Heather or Anthony, whoever's watching this, depending on who your marketing rep is, and you're going to sit down and you're going to talk with them and say, Heather, I want to market my own neighborhood. And she's going to say, okay, what are you looking to do? Or you want the people that live there that might be moving, upgrading, downsizing? Are you looking for the investors in the neighborhood? You just want first responders in the neighborhood? Like, what are you going to market to? So when I would do mailers, I'd pick a neighborhood and I'd give them an address. And I say, I just want just give me the list of all the 1-stories that have at least $200,000 in equity. That way I know they've got some wiggle room, that have a pool, that have lived there at least 5 years. Because in Vegas, every 5 to 7 years, people tend to move. But if they just moved in a month ago, I'm going to spend $3 on a postcard that they're going to look and throw in the trash. And so that $3 would be more useful to me on another property, right? And then, so I would do that, and then I would say, okay, now I need a list for the same address of the non-owner occupieds. And that could be investment homes, that could be second homes. And then what I do is when they give you that list, you now have the address for that home, and then you have the name and address for the owner that lives in California or Georgia. So now you're mailing to that owner, and then you're mailing to this house. So then the house is the people in the house that are renting it, the tenants, they're just like, oh, hey, yeah, there's a realtor, I might need this, maybe we could buy soon, whatever. But then the homeowner reaches out to them and say, hey, I'm looking to sell. You guys, your contractors, your lease is up in like 2 months, so I'm going to sell. So guess what? They call you to sell. These people call you to find a home if they're not going to be buying that home. And sometimes the homeowner says, hey, can you help me sell that home? So now you're listing their home, and then the tenant is purchasing it, unrepresented or whatever. And then that way, all you're doing is the paperwork and then there, right? So that could potentially be 2 sales or just buying that one house that they have, right? So you help the client get the tenant get qualified. Like, so there's so much stuff to do, but you're sending 2 separate postcards, but to 2 different people for the one same house. So that I really did. I liked doing that because it kind of like, I'm working the whole neighborhood, right? So you're getting the owner-occupieds that actually have equity. You're getting the investors that are in there. You can do a whole zip code and ask them, Rock Title, to send you and any of the first responders in that zip code. And then they can do that. Anybody that, you can go by ethnicity. You can do by doctors. You could do it by school teachers. You could just tell, because it's all public knowledge. So whatever the title company can pull for you, if you have a niche, that's the way to go. So get with your marketing rep from Rock Title, and they can fine tune that for you. And create the postcard. Yeah. Or letter. Yep. And so you can go into our back office zone, and there's CoreFact in there. You can get postcards from anywhere. I like CoreFact because they also give you like each postcard has a special like code for that specific house. So if they don't contact you, they're just going to go on to Core, because it says see your estimated, sales price or value, and they type that code in there, and it immediately alerts me which address typed in there. So that doesn't give me that property's phone number or anything, but now I can go to Heather. Do you have a phone number on file? Do you have an email on file? Great, I'm going to send them a separate letter. Hey, did you get my postcard the other day about that? Whatever it is. So if you're brand new and you want to door knock your neighborhood, I always suggest, like I was just talking to Denise about this last week, send a mailer first, right? That says, hi, I'm Denise, I'm your neighbor. Hi, I'm Wendy, I'm your neighbor. I live in your neighborhood. I'm here to answer any questions you have. If you're looking for upgrading or downsizing, I'd love to help you, whatever. Then after about a week, but first, when you mail something, always mail one to yourself. Also put yourself on that list so you get it and you know when it goes out. Then after about a week, once you received it and you know that it went out, go walk the neighborhood with a door hanger. If there's a Realty One listing in there, go ask if you could sit on that open house. And so I'm the neighbor, and so now they've seen you at an open house. They've received a letter from you. They've got a door hanger from you, like whatever it is that you're going to do. But it's really working your neighborhood. A lot of people think I'm just going to mail to this neighborhood. That's not working the neighborhood. Because in my last house that we had, there were about 250 homes. There were 11 homes on my street. 5 of us were realtors in those 11 homes. Okay, I was the only one that was practicing. They all held their license. They didn't do anything, right? Great. So you would have thought at that point, I'm not even going to market. There was one other lady in the back. Like, she sent out these little postcards, and I just remember she had kind of some big hair, but she had a purple shirt on. That's all I remember about her. She had like a Florida tan. Like, she was just, like, you could see these big earrings and just like, and her picture was like this big and some information. And when I looked her up on Zillow, because that's what we do, but don't think the public's not doing that too, she hadn't sold much of anything. So I'm like, well, I'm going to work the neighborhood. So I started working my own neighborhood, and I ended up selling 4 homes in there. Then I ended up selling my own home. When I sold my own home, I ended up with a client. So the people that bought my house, we still stay in contact because for whatever reason, 4 years later, the DMV still sends my stuff over there, and we've changed it multiple times. So we've become good friends, and the husband's getting his license, so he's coming here. But then I ended up meeting somebody else there that they didn't buy my house, but they contacted me later and started asking about becoming an agent and all of that stuff. So we do, you just make connections no matter what you do. And then there was, at the end of my street, there's a street that went this way and you turn onto mine. Well, the street that went this way, the lady's house that lived there, single lady in her late 60s, walk her dog. She had a Shiba Inu, beautiful dog. She would walk every day. Everybody knew her. She's out there gardening. Well, nobody had seen her for like 3 or 4 days. And then the neighbor behind her noticed that the dog just was out in the backyard barking, barking, barking. So he went in through the dog door and found out she passed away on the couch. Yes, she had a heart attack, and for like 3 days. And so her son came into town, and I didn't know. I mean, I knew that she had passed, but I talked to her just in passing hi. Like, I didn't know what was going on. Well, I dropped my daughter off at school, and when I was coming home, not dressed, my hair not done, no makeup, and I'm driving in and I see him walking her dog. And I pull up and I'm like, oh, are you her son, family member? And he's like, yeah, I'm her son. And I was like, oh, we all know her. Here, I'm like, I don't know if you're coming in and out of town, because I knew both of her sons were out of town. So I said, I don't know if you're coming back and forth. I don't know what you're doing with the dog, if you need help placing the dog. I mean, it was an amazing dog. So I gave him my card and I said, I literally live just right up the street. So I'm like, I can stand in my driveway and see her house. So I said, if you need help with anything, sure enough, I got the listing, because he had to leave. Then they had a drug addict son that kind of moved in there, and like he was like, I'm going to watch the house, and he wouldn't show it, and he said he was doing all these repairs and nothing was getting done. It was a problem. And so, but anyways, like that, there's the hurdles, but I live in the neighborhood, so I could walk down there. Like he liked that. The older son was like, I could call you could go there, something's on, the alarm's going off. Like they just needed somebody super close. So I did win that listing. And from that listing, my other friends, they renovated their house and they had to move to Idaho. So I got that listing, and it just started, but I put my sign up, I put car magnets on. I'm not a big car magnet person, but when my car is in the driveway or driving through my neighborhood, it's got my car magnets. I take them off once I get out of the neighborhood. When I'm coming home at night, I pull over, put them on, enter my gate. Like they're always going to see it, right? I walk my dogs every single night. The area I live in now, I have a 5-acre park inside the middle of our community, and I would host events. So we were the first house in there 20 years ago, moved to the other house. Now we've moved back. So I would host events. I had a Santa, I had Easter egg hunt. I mean, I did everything in that community. We live in a cul-de-sac. I would do community barbecues. The neighbors would come down, like just get out there. And so when they come down, I had car magnets on my car. Oh, you're a realtor. Like it's, however, without, because I'm not one of those like in your face, I'm a realtor. I'm just like, I'm going to let you know I'm a realtor. I'm here if you need anything. And then when they sign up to do like pictures with Santa, I would do an Eventbrite, and they'd have to log in and reserve their time. It was free, but I got their name, their phone number, their email. And then I would follow up. And then when they would come to the event, I did have a table that they'd have to check in. It had my information, said I'm a realtor. Just say, hey, I'm a realtor. I do a lot of stuff with the community. So I'm going to go ahead and put you on my list if that's okay, let you know. And then they're okay with me getting all of that contact with them. So I get out there and they're like, oh, use this lady. She always does so much for our neighborhood. That's all I'm trying to do, guys, right? So you want to just get in their face. So with the postcards and things, you can go, there's a ton of places that do mail out or make the postcards. But do you want them to mail them? Do you want to they'll make them and send them to you? Do you want to mail them out? Like the post office has a little bit of a deal, like if you mass in bulk, but you're like mailing to the whole zip code. So you gotta be prepared to do that. It's not just one subdivision. So it gets a little pricey, but you know what? It's worth it. I did a newsletter. It was a 4-page newsletter. I had it made in Pennsylvania. Then they'd mail it to me. And then I would staple the comps for these 3 subdivisions in there. And I would do this once a month. It cost me $7,000 for 8 months. And I got nothing. Nothing. But you don't know what works. So then I sold a house in a gated community. And I spent $150 on postcards. Got 3 listings. You don't know what's going to work. You don't know. So you just have to keep doing it, right? So I'm always looking for the most cost-effective way to do things, right? So if you ever need something, like I don't pay for all of these systems. Like if I can get it free and it's going to do what I need it to do, I'm using it. That's why I really advocate for our OneSuite, the website, the CRM. There's great ones that they will call and text and do all this flashy stuff, but I'm not a cold caller, so I don't need that service. But if I just need to put some on my people in a CRM, and I need to put them in sections, and then I need to do mailers, I'm good. If I can log in there every day and it tells me whose birthday it is, boom, now I know who to call. I don't need the flashy stuff. I spent $69 for a year and a half on another CRM, and guess what? I never opened it. I just did it, and then I was like, what is this charge? And I was like, oh my gosh, I forgot I even paid for that service, and it just kept going. So do look at your statements every month, because we do sign up for things, or it's a free trial and then we forget to cancel, right? Because everybody wants our money. So what I really pay for is breakthroughbroker.com, if you guys have not gone there. I've used that, in 21 years, I probably used that 18 of my 21 years. It's a great place to go and get downloads. It's like $14.95 a month. Then I pay for Dropbox because my photographer drops all the pictures in there and I can store them in there. And then I pay $1 a month for the Rock Title app, I think it is, because you've got the NetSheet app on the Rock Title app, but then for $1 more a month, they give you special things that you can download, which I haven't done in a little bit, but I still pay for it because I think it's valuable when I want to make a post. I pay for that. And then, what else? I don't even know if I pay for anything else. I try to leave it. No, there's one other thing and I forget what it is. Canva. I love my Canva. So I will add designs to everything. I can make just Word documents in there and upload my pictures. So it's like $119 a year or something like that. Love it. Okay. Those are the only things I pay for, guys. So as a realtor, don't feel like I have to buy this system and that system and that. You can, but you don't need to, especially when you're starting out, right? Just use the stuff that you really do need. And the only reason I went higher on my Dropbox is because I don't like to erase pictures. And so my photographer's like, I'm trying to drop it in here, and it's saying that there's no more room. He can't do it. I can't open it. That's the only reason. So there's a free version, and then once you store enough, then you have to go. So don't pay for it until you need it, right? You can start it now and you might not sell a home for a couple months. And even one home I think I had 4 homes in there before. It's like, hey, running out of room. So just use your dollars wisely because it's not cheap being a realtor. And people think, I'm just going to jump in here. But a lot of people turn over because they're like, I can't afford it. But do the basic that you need and then pay as you go. I mean, if you can. It's hard, but that's why I say find a way to market to your clients first and what your plan of action is going to be. And if you're not going to use it, don't go to Rock Title and give them your address and say, hey, I need my, all the people in my neighborhood, and then not do anything with it in 6 months because guess what? People have moved. Yeah. And then you're like, ugh. So you don't know, and now you got to get another updated one, and so they've got to pull it again. And emails, it's not free for them to pull emails. So it's a charge for them. They do for us for free. So yes. And so just like prelims, like you want to pull a prelim before you take a listing. I don't know of any other title company that'll do that for you, but that's a couple $100 for Rock Title to do that. But they give us all the information up front. But they do that for us. But so if you don't pull it unless you need it. But you can get a regular farm and that's free. But if you're like, I want emails because I'm going to email these people, make sure you have your stuff in order. And then go get that list the day before or 2 days before. It's just like expireds. People go to Rock Title and say, give me a list of expireds. And then they don't do anything with it for a month and then they start calling. Well, they're already back on the market. You got to get an expired right when they expire, so because there's a million people calling those expireds. So with that, get that stuff when you need it. Any other question about mailers and postcards and all that, Santa?
Do they do labels?
No. They don't, but if you upload your list, they'll print them on there. It's not a label, but if you make your own and have it print at like Office Depot or something and go pick it up, then you can get your own labels. But if you're going to do it through Corefact, yes, you're just going to upload your CSV file or whatever with all the names and addresses, and it just has to be in the order they ask you, and then it will print them on every single one. So it's not like a label, but they are made in there. But otherwise, I have no problem going down to Office Depot, getting those Avery stickers, and then you upload them, and then just upload your list. But if you're going to upload your list there, then you can upload it to Corefact if unless you want them for whatever reason. Like when I was making those newsletters, those 4-page newsletters, I needed them to come back to me because every month I would staple inside another page with all the comps of everything that had sold. So I couldn't have them mail it because I needed it to add that. They weren't doing that. And they came to me and then I had to put labels on them and it was a lot of work for nothing. But you never know what's going to work. You just don't, right? Yeah, if you buy them, and put them in the machine, yep. Just make sure that, because you're going to set your computer to print on that label, but sometimes they're like, you put 5 sheets in there and you only use 4, and then you've left one in there. You've lost that, but then the next person printed something very important and printed on top of your labels. So just make sure when you're moving paper around that you're watching that. But yep. So, okay. That's it. So number 4, hold a neighborhood event with registration required, which is like that Eventbrite that I was just talking about. You can do an ice cream social, pumpkin patch pop-up, community yard sale. You can do a shredding day, holiday pictures for children like Easter, Christmas, Halloween, 4th of July. But it's an Eventbrite. You make an Eventbrite, it's free, and then they go and register on there. And just make sure it's name, phone number, email. And then when they register, you say, okay, I'll follow up the day before because it's a specific time slot that you have to be there. And then even if you're going to do like an Easter egg hunt, I used to just buy thousands of eggs. And then we would just spend like a week stuffing them with candies. And then some of them had dollar bills, and we would do 2 different sections, like from this age to this age, and then this age to this age, so they weren't getting trampled on. And then the older kids, we would, like just throw candy, and then they'd run and grab the candy, so whatever it is. So we did it for all of them, but they have to register. They have to sign up for that. We need a head count, whatever it is, so you know how much to buy. And then they love it. And it's your own neighborhood, so you're giving back, and whatever. But if you don't have a park in your neighborhood, find another park, and then you could do it that way, and then you have to cordon it off. But you're there to gather people's information. Right? And then, let's see, follow-up example. Oh, then when you're following up. So after your event, you can do, thank you so much for coming to our event, whatever you named it this weekend. I'm Wendy Schaller, your neighborhood realtor. I'm the one that coordinated the event. If you ever have any questions about your home's value or considering move, I'm here to help you. You always want to, once you're doing the follow-up, just, really go hit it hard there so they know who's the one that coordinated it. Because you don't want to be the secret one that's like, I don't even know who contacted me for this. Who's coordinating that? You want to have a banner the day of, like sitting there next to Santa with the banner. And here's your check-in, your registration. Hey, I'm the realtor that's coordinated. I do live in the neighborhood. So, yep, let me get you registered. Stay right here. You're going to be next. Whatever, you can give a little goodie bag to the parent. They're going to get their picture. Here's a goodie bag for you, candy, your card, whatever it may be. So, and then, okay, number 5. Become a referral partner for out-of-state realtors, right? Especially Realty One agents. And that's where I've added on the back. Oh, did I add it? Yes. Okay. So I did add it. So this is one of those ladies I said I was going to tell you at the very end. This lady sends me this email every month. I do not know her name, but I know she's a lady with a little white visor that's sitting on a horse looking backwards. She is a Realty One agent in, I think it's Prescott, Arizona? Hold on. Yeah. She says, hi, fellow ROG agents. Our business is definitely challenging in the new market rules, blah, 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 blah. However, as a trusted and experienced Arizona Realty One agent, I would like to continue to offer you a such and such percentage referral. And her name is Mariana Warner, so she's awesome. I keep it, and I get it, and I don't delete it because this is super helpful. Connect with other realtors. And you can, whatever state you're from, because most people aren't from here, but if you are, cool. But find another state that you know that a lot of people are leaving. Go to Heather and say, what states are people vacating from and coming to Vegas? They have that information. And Tennessee, no, they're moving to Tennessee, but if they're moving out of one state to come here, we get a lot of Californians. Pick certain areas in California and go and look at, it doesn't have to be a Realty One agent. It's always great if you can get them, but you can go to Realty One, the Realty One office, and then click on their agents. You'll have to make a list of their agents' emails, and then just every month send them the same thing. I mean, it's been going on 5-6 years. I get this every single month from this lady, and I can't remember her name, but it doesn't matter. I just put Realty One Arizona, and it comes right up in like when I'm searching for her email, and it comes up every single time because she has sent me so many of them. But you want to do that rapport, because if she knows anybody moving to Vegas, guess what? If I call her, I'll send her people, she'll send me people, and we can flip-flop there, because we do have some people from Arizona that do move to Vegas. So it doesn't hurt, because you're going to build a whole bunch of pillars of business, guys. It's not just going out there finding clients. You're going to lean on other people to find clients. So you're going to lean on other realtors out of state to say, hey, anybody coming here, I'll give you a referral. And then you're their trusted realtor here in town. So if you go back to, I went to number 5. Bonus strategies. Okay. Partner with 10 local smaller businesses, a flooring store, a dog boutique, whatever it may be. But think about it. If you partner with 10 of them and you walk in and say, I'm a local realtor, I live in the area, I'd love to promote you. If you can promote me, I'll take some of your cards. Can I leave some of my cards? I do a monthly newsletter and I spotlight a business every month. Do you want to do a 10% coupon or something? And then I'll let you know when your month is running. Anybody that wants you needs your services, they'll bring my newsletter to you, so you know, and then that's the coupon, because I put in there, must bring, present the coupon at time of purchase. And so then they'll know that I've actually been promoting them. So think about it. If you have 10 businesses that you are promoting throughout the year and they're promoting you, that could potentially be 10 different referrals that you didn't have to work for. Here's this girl that I use. Here's this guy that I use. This realtor comes in here all the time. She's our preferred realtor. Because people, when they're going to redo their flooring, it's either because they're just upgrading their home or they're planning on moving, right? Just same with painters. If you have a local painter, some people they'll have a handyman that come in, partner with a handyman. Anybody that you go fix something and say, are you planning on moving? Oh, here's a realtor if you need one. Shoot, man. You can't give them, because once you're licensed, you cannot give anybody any kind of a kickback, okay? But you can, in return, send business their way. Right? And they can do the same with you. Hey, I'm fixing this. Oh, you're moving? Here's a realtor. And then the realtor comes, you sell them home, is like, here's a handyman. So you're working in conjunction with these people, sharing business, but without having to do anything that's illegal. So that one, I did really well with that one, and actually became really good friends with one of them and sold them. They sold them a house in Sky Canyon and then sold their other home in Summerlin. And then the husband is an investor, so he's constantly looking for condos. So you just don't know, but he's a business owner. And sometimes business owners have extra money that they need to be purchasing and doing other things with. So super, it worked really well for me. I don't know how else to say that, but okay. Super profitable? I don't know. And then two, bonus strategy, target high-end apartments with renters, right? So if you find an apartment in Summerlin that has, 1, 2, and 3 bedrooms. Well, the 3 bedrooms they're probably paying the same amount as what a mortgage is. So you're going to go to Heather and say, here's an address for apartment complex. Can you just give me the unit numbers for the 3 bedrooms? And then from there, you can make postcards. Think you can't afford to buy? Well, you don't need 20% down. Work with the lender. Design a postcard like 3.5%, 5% down, 20% down. What your payment's going to be, a payment breakdown. Give them all that information. The 1 bedrooms, it's going to be kind of hard because some of them might be ready, but they just are by themselves and I just need a quick 1 bedroom. They might have money, but it's more of a gamble that you're spending more money postcards wise, because postcards are not cheap. $1.50 to $3, sorry, $1.50 to $3 per postcard. I mean, and if you have 200 of them, it gets a little pricey, right? So that's why you want to search it. I don't ever do little postcards, guys. I do jumbo postcards, because when they do the little postcards, they get stuck in your mail. So you do the jumbo ones, no matter which way, it's going to poke out of something somewhere, right? So I like the more elegant feel. I used to do an all black one with a red ribbon, and it just kind of swoopy, and it was just like white and black and gold, I just like the high end. But you can there's some of them that I like seeing, I'm like, does that work for you? They just are cartoonish and just there's too many words. Less is more on a postcard because it's a small area, so you want to put your picture, you want them to get familiar with your face, because it takes 8 to 10 times of seeing your face before they remember your face. Forget about your name. Like I said with Marianne here, it's been years and I don't even remember her name until I pick up this piece of paper. It's not about that. They're just trying to remember who you are, but then they also, when they remember you and they need you, they need to know where to find you. So send them the emails, send them the postcards. There's a lot of people, not my husband, but a lot of people get a postcard and then they shove it in a drawer. My husband's just trash, trash, trash. But if they put it in a drawer, they're like, I know I saved one of these. You just want to be in their face. Drop by, put something, a door hanger, just constantly be there. So you're going to get a plan together on how to market, every month. Do something every month. Some people do it every quarter. Every 3 months they'll do a flyer or this or that. But 3 months is a long time. They might get your, postcard on month 1, and then maybe 3 weeks later, they're not thinking about it, and they're like, we have to move. So then they list their home, and then they're sold before your next one even comes out, right? So I don't like to do 3 months, But hey, if that's what's in your budget, that's what's in your budget. Just get out there and do something, because just sitting there not doing much of anything is not gonna generate business. But you're gonna have to hit it on your social media. You're gonna have to hit it on your face-to-face. You know, it's all of that, what you're mailing to them. Because everyone's like, what works? Well, everything works differently for everybody. And it's timing, and it's area. It's your area of expertise. I mean, there's so many factors to it. So what works for me is not going to work for you. What works for you is not going to work for me. Just, and I say work your sphere. Just know that a lot of times your very close circle is afraid to use you, and don't take it personal. They don't want you to know their finances. They don't want you to know their hardships or their bad credit or whatever it might be. So we have family members that don't use us. We have really close friends that don't use us. And it does sour some relationships, but there's nothing you can do. I've had better luck with people that maybe just knew my name in passing, or, oh, my husband, his co-workers knew me, but they didn't really know me. I just met them at holiday parties and stuff. I had better luck with that than all of my personal people. And then once they see you going, then they're like, oh, I want to go, you know, oh, I'm holding this event. I'm going to this event. They're like, oh my gosh, now your friends are like, hey, what are you doing? You know, when you do something big, they all want to be part of that. But starting out, sometimes it's better to get, you know, so don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to pick an area, neighborhood, and just go for it. Any other questions? Because I think that was just get creative, all that kind of stuff. Anybody? Anything? No? Okay. So I do have other ones that I think I'm going to do a part 2 to this one, because you could just keep going and going and going, but at least it gives you a starter of different ways that you can add to it. But if you need anything, let me know. If you're watching the video, feel free to email me and I'll send you the handout. But thank you all again. I appreciate it. See you soon.